Hello and welcome to the Vault of Truth YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to look at Eugene Akers, a former NASA engineer who gave his deathbed confession about the moon landing. So I recently came across this post on Instagram from The Real Files, and it says here, in his final moments, Eugene Akers, former NASA engineer and TRW contractor associated with U.S. aerospace and intelligence linked programs, allegedly revealed a chilling truth about the Apollo moon landing. Eugene Akers, who died in 2022, gave his deathbed confession based off of his father's deathbed confession back in 2002. His father, Cyrus Akers, was stationed at Cannon Air Force Base, New Mexico in 1968. He was a guard at the front entrance. Cyrus's confession recording was lost in a fire mysteriously, with no determination ever being made as to the origin of that fire, which is very suspicious. In addition, Eugene has stored a bunch of notes in his computer from his dad's confession, and that computer got confiscated after Eugene's death, which is also highly suspicious. The name that the government gave for the fake moon landing project is Project Slam Dunk. At Cannon Air Force Base, there were two large connected hangars. There were canvas tents set up outside to conceal the entrance to the hangars. Hundreds of dump trucks brought sand and stone and concrete dust into the base, where crews of workers fashioned all of that into a lunar surface. They also brought in and set up the lunar lander and various other things like the American flag and such. Cyrus also said that as soon as they were done filming, they quickly removed all of this stuff, including the sand and stone and cement dust, out of the hangars, with no trace that anything had ever happened. And they even painted the hangars back to their original paint. I guess in this way, normal base staff would never know what had happened. Cyrus also said he saw the list of 15 people that were allowed inside the base during filming, and it was only these 15 people that were allowed. President Johnson, Neil Armstrong, an astronaut, Edwin Aldrin, an astronaut, Wernher von Braun, NASA head, Robert Emenegger, a filmmaker, Gene Kranz, a NASA director, James Webb, a NASA administrator, Joe Kerwin, another astronaut, Dr. Thomas Paine, another NASA administrator, Glenn Looney, a physicist. Yeah, he was loony, all right. Dr. Chris Kraft, NASA engineer, Dr. James Van Allen, physicist, General Trudeau, Lieutenant Colonel Donald Simon, and Grant Norrie, CIA. So it's all of the people that I would expect, including the filmmaker. So yet again here, one of the countless whistleblowers that has come out and admitted fraud with the space program. This is just one of many other examples of this, yet you will hear globe defenders constantly repeat the same statement, and that is that, oh, if the government was really lying about the shape of the earth, wouldn't there be tons of whistleblowers? And they say that not realizing that there have been thousands of whistleblowers that have come out. But you won't see any of them on the mainstream news. Their testimonies get heavily censored and become difficult to find. And this testimony confirms what we already knew, especially if you've watched my 150 Flat Earth Proofs video. Of course the moon landing was faked. Just look at this image here of the lunar lander. Do you see that thruster on the bottom? That thruster was supposedly firing a large blast out of the bottom as this craft landed down on the surface. Do you see a large blast crater where the force would have blown the dust and rock and debris out in a crater-like fashion? No. Do you see a large burn mark across the ground from the flame of the thruster and the intense heat being emitted? No, we do not. We know from images like this, where the camera is pointing directly at the sun and at the lunar lander, with the sun just behind the lunar lander, yet the lander is perfectly exposed. That wouldn't happen. The lander would be mostly a silhouette. Then to make matters worse, they put a fake sun halo around the sun, which is not what you would get in that environment. Then we have pictures like this of the wet American flag on the moon, a complete impossibility. No wheel prints on the ground from the lunar rover driving around. We have issues like this where an astronaut in his gear, totaling maybe 250 pounds, leaves a deep footprint in the ground. Yet one of the feet of the 10,000-pound lunar lander that is surprisingly small and fragile looking, doesn't even pierce an inch into the ground. And of course, we have tons of photos like this where you can see astronauts on strings being tugged around as they walk to make it look like they're walking around in an environment with far less gravity. You can also clearly see in this picture that no more than 10 or 15 feet away from them is a painted wall that is painted to look like a continuation of the lunar terrain. And there's many more than that, but there's no need to beat a dead horse. Now let's take a quick look at how much money NASA has robbed from the average taxpayer. Here is what has been spent on NASA, adjusted for 2024 dollars, from its founding until current time. It's roughly $804 billion. That is nearly $1 trillion. The current U.S. population is roughly 349 million. This means that NASA has robbed every single American of $2,303. And this is just the money that NASA has obtained from the government budget. This does not include all of the revenue they've created from sales of their merchandise, or money they've generated from tourism of their various facilities, or ticket sales from various launches, and other miscellaneous things. I'm sure that all of that would put the total number at well over $1 trillion. With that kind of money, you could have ended hunger across the world, ensuring that the entire world's population has food for the past 6 decades. So it's time to wake up, people. When are people going to start taking a stand against this stuff? Where is the class action lawsuit for millions of Americans to get this money back from the government? And this is another reason why I left the country, because I'm not holding my breath for Americans to grow a backbone. So share this video with all your friends and family, and I will see you in the next one.